This is Binterik on Dawah. Assalamu alaikum. Today we're going to talk about Muslim men who date Christian women and make rules for them. Now, I'm going to start this with a disclaimer. Obviously, Muslim men need to be married, and preferably to Muslims, and not date at all before that. But just saying, I have to say that. So we had his disclaimer there. I get so many messages and questions from non-Muslim women who are dating a Muslim man. Sometimes he's single and other times he's married, about the stupid rules that their man makes for them, expecting them to behave as believing Muslim women who are in a marriage relationship. They're not even married and they're not Muslim, but these men are making rules for them and trying to decide for them how they're supposed to behave because they're in a relationship with a Muslim man. Such as, no more spending time with friends that are men or family members that are men that are non-mahram, and no drinking alcohol or eating any pork, and obedience. Believe it or not, the Muslim brothers who are in relationships with Christian women or non-Muslim women, they actually expect obedience from their girlfriends. And perhaps it's just plain old entitlement or a totally twisted and weird understanding about how romantic relationships are supposed to be run. I mean, I already said, obviously, you cannot expect anything out of a haram relationship except for haram and harm. But the whole idea about behind a Muslim woman dating a non-Muslim, this is true for those sisters who also date non-Muslim men, which is happening more and more. But I want to ask you, if you are someone who you're a Muslim that's in a relationship, a haram relationship with a non-Muslim, what happens in Ramadan? What happens when like Ramadan is coming? And the rules about intimacy for married couples is that, you don't do anything during the day. So how does that work? How do you navigate that? Do you take a break? Do you move back in with your parents? Or do you just refuse to see them the whole month of Ramadan? How does that work? How is that conducive to any kind of relationship? And what are your plans about getting married? Is this relationship that you're in right now so restricted and so limited that you have decided that there's going to be a point at which it ends and you're going to go find the person that you actually marry? Because I am sure to tell you that non-Muslim woman or man, whoever it is that you're in a relationship with, they are probably thinking about marriage. And you may not be thinking about marriage at all. And these things, they have to be communicated about, or else you're already wasting your time in one way, but you're entirely wasting your time if you're not thinking about marriage at all. Does his or her family actually know you? Do they know you? Do they know that you're Muslim? What do they think about the relationship? What do your parents? Do your parents know? I'm not going to tell your parents. But I mean, I'm sure your parents don't know. As a Muslim, I'm sure your parents have no idea. Or they do know and they are severely confused about what their role as parents are supposed to be in advising their children about these kind of things. And have you brought your head up level to even think about the future and children? I will tell you that in my experience over being Muslim for almost 30 years, most children raised with half and half, the mother or the father is Muslim and the other person is not Muslim, they end up fully non-Muslim, okay? And they have to learn about and accept Islam on their own without you, if they even do discover Islam. So make this an intention in your head that whatever relationship that you are in now, it should be beneficial to whatever children come out of it. And raising your children with this person, how is that going to work? In one of those reality TV shows, I don't watch reality TV, but I saw a clip, I think it's called 30 Day Fiancé or something like that. And there was a Muslim man who's in a haram relationship with a non-Muslim woman. And he's just like, oh, well, this is my culture. And you have to wear hijab. You have to cover. And she says, no. Then they get married anyway. And now there's a problem because she doesn't want to wear hijab. He expects her to obey him fully, and also he wants her to wear hijab. But I'll tell you something, obedience for a believing woman, for her believing husband, this is motivated by the Quran and the Sunnah and a woman's devotion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So getting a non-Muslim woman to obey you will be more challenging after marriage and nearly impossible beforehand. Okay? SubhanAllah, if you even manage to attract a submissive non-Muslim woman, which is very difficult to find these days and not always a good thing, This attitude that she has, it can't be sustainable because it's not for the sake of Allah. The only way that anybody can have a specific, a consistent behavior that's beneficial is if they do it for the sake of Allah. And if your non-Muslim girlfriend or boyfriend, or whatever, they don't know anything about Allah, they cannot be consistent in whatever way that they're being at this point. And because there's no commitment there, there's no reason to stay together. These attitudes and these behaviors, they can be very short-lived. And you will not be able to tell when, the time runs out on that specific behavior, because a lot of it's just showing off. A lot of it's just like, oh, I like you and I want you to spend time with me, so I'm going to behave in a way that you like. And this goes for men and women, When times get tough and you rely on your girlfriend to be consistent, she may change her tune and leave you by yourself. Because only proper sabr for Allah's sake can make a woman put up with the ups and downs of life and be consistent with you. You want your cake and you want to eat it too, but the cake is poison. Okay, I'm just telling you, the cake is poison. It's poison from its conception. It's poison in the original ingredients. Nobody came and poisoned it. You made it. You made the cake. Okay? You made the cake and you want to eat it, but it's poisonous. What happens if your non-Muslim girlfriend gets pregnant? Or, like I mentioned before, she really wants to get married to you. She is entrenched in this relationship. You are so fantastic that you have convinced her that she wants to spend the rest of her life with you and raise a family. Are you done playing house now? Now that you have a child, if you wish to get remarried with a child, like if the relationship dissolves and breaks up, which it probably will do, then you're going to be the father of somebody else's child. And now you want to get married to a Muslim woman. Now you want to settle down. Now you want to have like a normal, halal, blessed marriage life. And you're still attached to this woman because she has your child. See how many Muslim women will want to actually marry you in that kind of a situation. I'm just telling you like it is. I'm not trying to scare you or threaten you. I'm just saying, if you have a child with a non-Muslim woman and then that relationship dissolves, you are not going to look too good to a Muslim woman who is practicing, who wants to find a practicing good Muslim husband to raise her children. She may put up with that, but it'll be very challenging and will be more challenging. And you're connected to this other woman for life. You are connected to this non-Muslim woman for life now. You create a child, that is a lifelong connection. Marriage, divorce, the child is yours for the whole life. And you think about who you're going to be raising that child with. You think about what influences that child is going to have before you proceed. SubhanAllah. Playing around, as mentioned in my podcast, Falling into Destruction, is practice for divorce. So if you were actively dating and you date different people, then, you can date this one and drop her and move on to the next one. And she can do that too. She can very easily do that too. And this society thinks nothing of it, right? But your soul is attached. Whether you're a man or a woman, it's the same kind of feeling. Your soul is attached. And every time you leave a lover, the soul is damaged. It's picked at. Your heart is ripped apart. So when you establish a committed love after all that and try to stay married to somebody after that, it's very, very much more hard to do. Except if your heart is sahih, that your heart is whole and pure from the very beginning. Another thing that just frightens me about the whole dating scene, especially for Muslims, Islam has rules, Islam has clarity, Islam has safety and surety. And you are now entering into a kind of a relationship that has absolutely no rules. So you cannot now take part of Islam and impose it on to some other person, impose some Islamic rules onto something that has absolutely no rules in society. We understand that an entire lack of rules causes chaos. Just imagine in your mind any kind of situation, any kind of adult situation or even childhood situation. Games, even games that you play, they've got rules, right? Even expansive VR games or whatever, there's parameters and there's rules. There's certain things you can't do and things that you can do. And that's what actually makes things enjoyable and allows you to focus on the experience at hand. If you have absolutely no rules about your life, then you have chaos and you do not have anything that is beneficial or blessed. The no rules, it destroys not only your life, but the lives of your prospective children. There is no foundation on which you can build a family or a society. And here's maybe something you haven't thought about. You're not doing your duty towards the ummah by fragmenting it through your desires. You have an obligation to contribute to the ummah in some way. And if you are wasting your time spreading your DNA around a bunch of single mothers, how is that helping the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam? And now, as I always do, I bring it back to remembering death. Would you like to die in this state? Would you like people to remember this about you, that you were a player and that you messed around with a bunch of different people? Your body count? This is something you want to be remembered about when you die? Do you want people to talk about this and be like, oh, no, guess what? When you're dead, you're not going to be wishing to hear that when people are talking around your grave. Who will you leave that will make dua for you? Will it be your believing Muslim children raised in an Islamic environment with pure hearts, or non-Muslim children who don't have any reason to even mark your death? This has been Binterik on Dawah. Assalamu alaikum.